Here we are up on the scaffold, the top of the scaffold, and we can see the existing roof, which is the old concrete tiles, not in great condition. These will all be taken off and going to be replaced with new tiles. And you can see here they've got the sloped roof on the side of the building, and what we're aiming to do is to construct hip to gable like they've got next door, and you can see a good example of how it's going to look. So this pitched roof here will be replaced with a vertical wall, which they call a gable wall, gable end, and we're going to have tiles on it similar to what they have next door with a window. The house opposite actually has been done in a similar fashion, so you can see the two houses opposite here. One's got the pitched roof as it was originally on the right hand side, and the one on the left hand side has been fully extended and squared off for the hip to gable loft conversion, the same as what we'll be doing here with this roof. So we can walk all the way around the scaffold. This takes us on the side. You can see the same concrete tiles. We've got a nice walkway here, and then it takes us to the back of the house. In the back of the house, again, it's another pitched roof, so it's sloping up. If we look at the one next door, they've had theirs converted already. So they've got the one next door and the one next door to that. So they've got what they call the dormer, and you can see the original line of the roof from the white pitch, and then they built the dormer coming out to create all of the extra living space internally, with the windows on the back for the ensuite and the bedroom. They've actually got a Juliet balcony. You can see it over, if we look at the house over the other side.
The felt and tiles have already been stripped off the old roof. The concrete tiles that you saw in the first video, they've all gone in the skip along with the felt. And now the guys have started the job of removing the timber structure for the old pitched roof, because we won't be retaining any of this. We're going to build an entirely new timber roof structure. So they're literally just cutting through all the old timber. You can see that it's in quite good condition. It's not rotted, but it's not the right structure that we need for the new roof. So they're cutting away all of the timber, and then everything's being passed down to the skip on the ground floor. Once we have removed everything and completely stripped back the old roof, then we'll start the process of constructing the new loft conversion with the steels and the dormer that's going to form the new bedroom and ensuite bathroom space. So back up onto the roof. The three steels that we looked at earlier are now all fitted in place. So you can see that the guys have started fitting the timber joists that will form the floor structure.
So today the guys have put the front structure, the timber structure, on the roof, so you can see that they've got that laid out here. I'll look at this in a bit more detail later, and of course to be enabled to do that, they've had to finish putting all the steels in. So we can see across the middle here we've got the ridge beam in, which is sitting at the very highest point for all of the steels, and then the timber frame for the roof structure is built over and above that, so the steel's taking the weight of that. This is only one half of the roof. Obviously we're going to build the dormer at the back here, so there'll be a box structure built square off the back, which will form the full head height area for the bedroom and the ensuite shower room. So here we are now just at the base of the new roof structure. You can see that it rises up to the ridge beam in the middle. This has been fixed around the original timber, so you can see all of these pieces have been cut to shape to fit nicely on top of the original timber that was here for the previous roof, which was this timber's in good condition. There's no need to replace that. And then what we've got on this side is going to be fully tiled, so this is just timber beams that will apply felt on top of that, and then the tiles will sit on top of it. And then as we move across, and the reason for that is that is where the staircase is going to come up. So, and it's restricted head height in this section. And then into the main section of the room, here we've got cutouts for 2 Velux windows, so you can see these squares where the timber has been shaped, and these are 1.2 by 900 wide, so they're quite big Velux windows that will bring a lot of light into the house from this side of the room. They'll be fitted at some point soon, and we'll just, and they'll be opening, so this, you can imagine this will all be tiled, and then we'll have the Veluxes, which will be similar to the ones opposite. If you have a look over there, it'll be a similar sort of arrangement to what we've got over on that side.
Today, the guys have built the dormer structure at the back of the loft. So we saw yesterday that the front section here had been completed for the roof, and now we've got the dormer, which, as I mentioned in the last video, is a box construction entirely of timber. So you can see as we come along the side here that the timber frame has been put in place in addition to what was yesterday. So look at the steel beam, the ridge beam. We've fitted into this the joists that make up the ceiling for the dormer at the back. So you can see the big ceiling joists have been cut to size and fit neatly into the eye of the I-beam on the ridge beam across the top. So the structure has been completed in timber, and then the sections have all been then filled in using plyboard. So you can see that the roof has all been fitted, but we've got an overhang across the edge. That will be fitted later with the GRP edging, and we'll be pouring GRP roof. The back has all been filled in, as you can see here. The windows have been cut out to size as per the drawings that were approved by planning, and come across the edging all the way across the top, and an overhang on the side where we are joined to the neighbour. There's a gap here. We'll have a look at this in a bit more detail later. But yeah, you can see that the entire structure has been completely covered with plyboard. This plyboard will be covered with felt, and then we will apply some battens across the top of the felt, and the tiles will be hung off those battens. So we'll be able to see that in later videos, that we'll put nicely parallel spaced battens all across the back of this structure, the vertical structure, and then the tiles will be hung off that. These are the vertical wall tiles. We can see here the detail for the window, which has been cut out. This is for the ensuite shower room, and we'll be fitting all the tiles around that before the window is installed. And we can see across the top here, the GRP roof will be poured over the back surface, and we'll have some drainage that will come down the side here. This vertical section will also have vertical hung tiles, and then we've got a window that is illuminating the stairwell from the side of the house.
Here we are at the front section of the property. As you can see, this has now been felt and battened. So the guys have put felt across the structure that you saw previously, which was the timbers with the gaps between them. So here you can see that it's all been pinned across, and then on top of the felt we put battens, which is basically timber which has been fixed to the original structure, and on top of these battens will be placed the tiles. So if we have a look at the end section here where it joins the neighbour's property, you can see that some tiles have already been fixed on here. So you can see the tile, the end of the tile is nailed to the batten, and then the overlapping, so that when the water cascades down from the top, that it will run and won't be able to get back into the house, because you've got quite a significant overlap. If I zoom in, you can see the overlap on the tile, so when the water runs down, it will run all the way down with gravity and not be moving back towards the property. So we'll have a little look in a bit more detail at the felt. So if we go round to where the felt, have a look in a bit closer, you can see the overlapping has also been done on the felt. So where the felt, this piece of felt here, where it comes down, there's a significant overlap here, so that when the water comes it will run down, but that's only if it penetrates through the tiles, which it shouldn't. The other addition that we've done today is we've actually fitted the Velux windows. The initial fitting has been done, so this structure has been fitted into the gaps that were previously in, so you can see that comes as a single piece, so it's already glazed, that's already in, and then the flashing kit will be added before the tiles go on, so that the flashing will be some the lead that goes around the window to make sure that nothing can penetrate in. So that's all been done on the front. So this section here is waiting for these tiles that are piled up here and some more that are downstairs to be fitted. And on the side walls, this section has now been completed. So this, you can see on the cross section where the window is, you can see the battens that are the same as these battens on the front. So the battens are a bit closer together on the side structure because the tiles are smaller. So you can see these tiles are significantly smaller than the tiles we just had a look at around the front, and these are vertical wall hung. So this section here, you can see quite a nice intricate pattern of overlapping, spreading out until the point where they're able to do them vertically in a more uniform structure towards the bottom. So this section here has all been fitted along the edge of the eaves for the front, and then we've got a small eave here, and then coming down, and then it joins onto the dormer structure across the back of the property. So you can see across the top we still haven't started yet. We put some felt in where the ridge is, so there'll be a small triangular drop down with one tile down to the dormer roof, and this is going to be GRP later. So all of this section around the back now has all been completed. You can see down the side here the lead flashing has been put in, so where the tile meets the original part of the roof structure, triangular section, there's a nice piece of lead in there, which is again going to stop the water from penetrating into the property. If we look at this section here in a bit closer detail, so this is a single piece of lead that has been formed into shape, so it's formed into a nice 90-degree angle, so, and then the tiles overlap on top of that. So you can see here the tile is in front of the lead, so the first point of protection is the tile, and underneath it you've got the lead, which is going to take away the water and encourage it to go down to the bottom, where we will have a gutter down the bottom. So this lead flashing will all be finished off before we complete the build. So have a look around the side and then across the back. This section here is where we've got the vent pipe coming out, so you can see through into there, and this will be where the air vent is for the bathroom inside, so that'll be the extractor fan. And then this is the corner section here. These are corner tiles. You can see they come pre-formed in a shape, and we've got them alternating, one with the large section here and then the next one with the large section here and the smaller section, so again to prevent any water being able to get through into the property. And then across the back, let's have a look. So we've got more batten work in the felt, so this is the felt before it's cut to shape for the window, more batten work, and then the tiles have been done all across the bottom section. And we'll just have a look round the corner. So this is the far corner where we adjoin the neighbour's property. So all the vertical tiles have been hung. You can see the lead work again has been done around the bottom of the chimney, and you can see it down the side here. This needs to be completed yet, but that's where we've got to today.
We're showing here the resin that will be put on top of the flat roof on the dormer, which will make it watertight. So this is the resin itself. This comes ready-made. you have a hardening agent which you apply, you pour it into the resin, and that's then instigates the chemical reaction, which means that it's then active, and you've got about an hour to use this. So we've got a long handled roller, but before we start that, we've had to prep the roof surface itself. So you saw in the previous videos that we put some plyboard as the surface for the roof. We then use fiberglass on both the top and the sides. So you can see here the edging is flexible, it's very lightweight. It's just made of fiberglass, and we just put this all around the edges. So you can see there's a defined lip, which means that the water, when it's running on the roof, will be caught by this edge, and that will encourage the water to run down. We've got about a 4% gradient on this flat roof, so the water will sit up at the edges and then come down. So this is the resin as we showed before, big tin of that. We put fiberglass all over the roof structure itself, and then this roller has got grooves in it, so it's a metal roller, and you can see that it's got different lines, and this really this encourages the resin to really go in on top of the fiberglass itself. So this is the plyboard has been covered with sheets of fiberglass, which is literally just fiber, and then we pour the resin on top and push it down with this roller so that it really goes through every single crevice and crack in the fiberglass to make sure that it's completely sealed. And this resin will go rock hard once it's set, but at the moment it's nice and pliable, so we can push it through. And this is quite a laborious job because you can see the size of the roller versus the size of the roof, so it's quite a manual task, but we basically just go over every single inch of the roof, pushing the resin down through the fiberglass so that you've got a complete bond of the two fitting together. So 2 coats have been applied to all of the flat roof. So you can see the fiberglass here, you can see the actual fibres flicking up at the top. But here, where the flat roof meets the original pitched roof, we've put in some fiberglass and also some lead, so we've merged the two to give a complete watertight finish. So the two have been bonded together, and then you can see all across the top here now we've got 2 coats of resin all on top of the fiberglass, so this has formed a complete watertight structure. So everything has been pushed down, all of the resin, the first layer was set, now the second layer is set, and then we just have a quick look across the side here. So where we've built up the lip, this has been nailed on, so you can see the dark patches where the nails were put in before the resin was applied. So we've got an overlapping lip, so this was one full structure forming the side panel, and then we've poured on the resin. This is the top coat that will be applied later, so we'll let those 2 coats of resin set completely rock hard, and then later we'll apply that top coat, and that will be the final finish for the roof. Moving back round to the front section, the pitched section of the roof, just looking at the chimney, the lead flashing has now been completed, so you can see here that we put flashing all around the chimney to make sure it's entirely watertight. The Velux windows are fitted, all the flashing kit has now been put in, so you can see down the side and along the top we've now put in the water protection, so that's on both the windows. You can see underneath they've got the skirt which laps over the top of the tiles. The piece round the side and the top will actually be fitted underneath the tiles. The tiles will be laid on top of that, and the water will run down the channel either side of the window and will then run off to the gutters below. And then if we move on to the end section, the last few tiles are now being applied, so you can see that all the tiles come in a standard size and are then cut down to size to make the end piece. So we just bring this one here, just fits it in to make sure it's exactly the right size that he wants, and then you'll trim that down if it's not entirely correct, so it might need to be just adjusted slightly to make sure it's in line with all of the other end pieces. So just using an angle grinder to take off the edge of that tile, and we'll bring it back again. And this is done for every single one of these. So that will then be nailed into position, which the nail goes through the tile and into the blue batten that you can see have all been laid out. So we've just watched this one. It's got the full tile. Bring it over to, just making sure that one's in the right position. Bring it over, measure it up, just mark up where you want to make your cuts. So nice and easy, cut to the top, cut to the bottom, nice straight line. These tiles have got nice parallel fixings on them, so it's easy to follow a straight line. Angle grinder out, and then just trim that tile down. So relatively quick process. All the rest of the roof has full size tiles throughout, so they've been pretty quick to fit. So it's really just a case of finishing off all of these end pieces. Quick look at the front section of the roof. So this is the felt that's been laid on the entire roof. So this has been left deliberately long to overlap into the gutter here. And then the front edge of the tiles, these have all been pushed back up slightly. They're not fixed into position yet. They're not finalised. So this will all need to be straightened off. But you can see how the waterproofing works. The felt here is underneath. That is a waterproof barrier on top of the actual wooden structure. And then the tiles are fitted all the way down so that the water runs fully into the gutter. So you can see this section here has been completed. So they're in position as they should be. This felt will be trimmed off a little bit. And then if you look at it from the side section, you can see that we've laid lead all the way down the side. So the vertical tiles come down, and then there's an impenetrable lead barrier which is tucked up under the tile, and that will be formed into shape as well. So this is still to be finalised. But that means any water that's coming down, it can't run back up into the house. So the water runs down the vertical tiles, hits the lead, and then is passed into this gutter. This section of gutter hasn't been fixed in yet. The clips are in place, but the gutter hasn't actually been fitted. And you can see here, this is the lead waiting to be formed into shape so that the water will all run directly into the gutter rather than having a chance to run back into the house. And you can see up the side the same lead on the section that is adjoined to the neighbour's property. The lead's been put into place here, so again the water cannot get back in. There can't have any capillary action moving it back into the property itself. If we take a look at the side section of the pitched roof, you can see here that they have now fitted the fascia. So we've got a black fascia alongside the inside of the original pitch. And this is really just a nice finishing touch, makes it look very attractive. You don't see all the way all the tiles have been cut. We can see here for the vertical side of the dormer, it comes down, and with the lead that we looked at just previously. But the interesting thing here is that there is a gap between the tiles, and you can still see the battens if you look down the cross section of the roof. So this will all need to be filled in with a sand cement mixture.
So picking up from where we were yesterday, along the top here, the ridge tiles have been put in place, and the final section of the front tiling for the roof has been done. We saw yesterday that they were fitting the edge to this. That's all been completed now. We'll have a look at the finish on that in a bit more detail in a minute. And also the front skirt down into the gutter has been put into place. Yesterday we saw that they were still being fitted, so the gutter is now been finalised. The fall here is running away to the centre point where the house meets the next door neighbour's house, because that's where the downpipe is, and from this corner it also runs to the back where the second downpipe is. So we go around and have a look at the finish on the tiles. Yesterday we saw there were some gaps between the tiles and the battens, the structure that it's sitting on. You can see now that this has all been completely filled in with sand cement mixture. So we've got everything is completely watertight and all been completely filled through. So that's all the way up to the ridge tile here at the top, which has been completely filled, and then you can see all down this side we've now got everything has been filled completely all the way through to the bottom. And this lead work has also been formed more into place, so we've now got the vertical tiles, the water will run down them, hit the lead. There's a tile underneath the lead here, so if it does manage to get over, it's still not going to penetrate into the house, and then all the way down, and that will take it through to the gutter at the front. And we see along the top here, the ridge tiles have been put on. These are actually clipped in place. You can see the clip on the top, so all the way along here these are actually clipped, and the reason they're not cemented down is that there's to allow cross circulation of air. So we've got a gap here, an air vent, so the air, rather than becoming trapped and creating moisture and problems internally, we've got air ventilation all the way across both sides of the ridge. So if moisture and air is building up inside the roof, if it gets hot when people are living here, this will be able to allow a bit of ventilation and allow that moisture to evaporate out, rather than being trapped at the top of the roof and causing condensation and damp and other issues. And it's the same with the dormer roof. There is ventilation in the top of this also, so that if air does come up and it's moist and it's getting trapped, the hot air is rising, it will travel all the way along here, up through to these vents and out into the atmosphere to make sure there's no problems. Now, going on to the dormer roof, this has now been finished with the top coat. We'll have a look over here. I can show you the top coat before we have a good look at the roof. We had a look at this yesterday before it was opened. So this is the Pro Grp Top Coat. You can see there. Now this stuff, it comes pre-made, and you add the hardener. So this stuff here, you add this into the mix, and then there's chemical reaction, and that stuff then starts to set. So you've got a limited amount of time. You've got probably a couple of hours to work with this stuff. You can see here, this is what's left. It's starting to become a bit more jelly-like. It's a bit thicker than you'd like to be using, so that's actually can't be used anymore. But on the top of the roof here, from what we saw yesterday, this has had 2 coats of the top coat. So if you do a bit of close up, you can see that this is quite a thick paint-like substance, and it's been put all the way along the edge. This was the plastic that we looked at yesterday, which is fiberglass, which is hollow, but this has now been completely covered in the top coat, and this top coat's been applied all the way across the top of the dormer roof. So we saw yesterday that this was a plyboard structure, which we then applied the fiberglass on top of, and then the resin was put on top of the fiberglass to secure it all down and make it more watertight. And this top coat is really just sealing everything into place, so it's been applied all the way across the whole surface and on all this edging. You can see that it's complete surface. So 2 coats has been applied to this. So first thing this morning, there was the first coat was applied, and that took a couple of hours to go off and set, and now the second coat is drying. So by tomorrow morning this will be rock hard. This basically will set rock hard, and then will form an impenetrable waterproof surface. So this has got a 20-year guarantee, this GRP material. So once it's in place, as long as it's been put on in the right conditions, and today we've got a really good day for it. It's a mild day, it's not particularly cold, there's no frost or snow or any issues like that, so this is perfect environment for this to set. It's not too hot, so this is now probably already waterproof, but you won't be able to walk in it, it's still tacky. But once this has finally set, then we will have the finished roof surface. So what we've got up here then now is a completely finished roof structure. So yesterday this window here was unfinished. We've now applied all of the lead around the frame of this. So yesterday this was still the batten structure you could see into here. This is now completely finalised, so the windows are coming next week. They'll be fitted, so once they're in, everything will be completely watertight. Got a nice little bit of finish in here, we didn't mention before on the corner. But basically the roof structure is now all watertight, in place. The windows are in on the front elevation. The windows will be in on the side and the back this time next week, and we're now moving towards the internal finish.
So here we are 1 month later. The tin roof from the scaffold has now been taken away, and the roof has been exposed to the elements for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So you can see that the top coat has now completely set. It's slightly lighter in colour. You can see some water sitting on the top of the roof, which you always get with a flat roof. Even though we put a pitch on this, there's always going to be a little element of water sitting here and there. But as we look around the front of this, you can see that the top coat of the resin has now completely set and has formed a complete surface. It's a skin on the top of the underlying fiberglass and the resin that we put as the first 2 coats. So this is all the way down the side where we join the neighbours. You can see the lip that we created, and then looking across this roof, it's looking really quite impressive. If you remember, this is just plyboard with 3 layers of resin over fiberglass, but modern technology and the quality of these chemicals means that this roof will last for a minimum of 20 years. It's guaranteed for 20 years, but actually is likely to last for a lot longer than that. So this has been really easy to construct, really quick and clean. Not very many heavy materials required, so this is perfect for dormer roofs where you're working at height. So yeah, really impressed with the quality of this, and we haven't had any problems whatsoever. And then if we come here, we can see as we go across to the pitched roof at the front, this is more traditional tiled finish. This is looking nice. We've got the ridge tiles across the top, all looking fine and perfect. We haven't experienced any problems on this side of the roof either. No issues around the Velux windows. The tiles have now cleaned themselves up as they've been exposed to the rain, so they're looking nice and new and red. All the mortar at the side's been fine. We've got the vertical wall hung tiles, no issues with those. The windows are now all in. They've all been fitted, so it's all entirely watertight. So this roof system is holding up fantastically well. We're very pleased with it. We got it right first time round. This will last for the next 100 years or so at the front here, these tiles. This is a well-proven system. So thanks for watching, Property Gurus. Really appreciate your support. If you haven't already done it, could you please subscribe, because we'll be posting plenty more exciting and helpful videos, and we will see you again soon. So thanks very much, and until the next time, cheerio.